The Great Patriotic War required every kind of soldier, from riflemen in the trenches to submarine commanders at sea, from mountain troops to partisans behind enemy lines. By 1945, the Red Army numbered 11.3 million men and women across dozens of specialized roles. This is the story of the infantry, elite assault units, technical specialists, and support troops that formed the largest army in history. Riflemen, core of the Red Army, organized into rifle divisions of about 10,000 to 12,000 men. Armed with Mosin-Nagant rifles and PPSH 41 submachine guns, these troops suffered over 6 million killed. By 1943, 34% carried submachine guns compared to Germany's 11%, giving Soviet infantry an advantage in close combat. Tactics emphasized mass assaults supported by artillery, machine gunners, operated Maxim ME 1910, heavy machine guns, and lighter DP-27 and DT guns. Machine gun companies provided suppressive fire for rifle platoons. Each company had 2 to 3 crews of 4 to 6 men, including gunner, assistant, and ammunition bearers. Defensive positions relied on interlocking fields of fire. Anti-tank riflemen operated PTRD-41 and PTRS-41, anti-tank rifles firing 14.5 millimeters armor-piercing rounds, effective against early German panzers at distances up to 500 meters. Positioned in pairs to cover likely tank approaches, the role required exceptional courage at deadly ranges. Mortar crews operated 50, 82, and 120 millimeters mortars for indirect fire support. The 82 millimeters mortar was standard at battalion level, 120 millimeters at regimental. By 1945, artillery density reached 375 guns and mortars per kilometer. Crews of 3 to 4 men were highly mobile compared to heavier artillery. Snipers, elite marksmen with scoped Mosin-Nagant rifles. At least 800,000 women served, many as volunteer snipers. Famous snipers included Lyudmila Pavlichenko with 309 kills, and Rosa Shanina. They operated individually or in pairs, targeting officers and machine gunners, creating strong psychological impact. Flamethrower troops operated portable flamethrowers and flamethrower tanks for bunker and trench clearing. They formed specialized assault companies in rifle divisions. Extremely hazardous, fuel tanks made operators prime targets. Effective in Stalingrad, Budapest, and Berlin street fighting. Grenadiers, infantry carried grenades, typically RGD, 33, or F1. Dedicated grenadiers specialized in close assault and led trench and bunker attacks. By late war, some used RPG-43 and RPG-6 shaped charge grenades against tanks. Missions were highly dangerous, requiring exceptional courage. Reconnaissance troops. Elite scouts conducted deep penetration missions, prisoner snatches, and enemy position spotting, operated in small teams of 3 to 6 men, often behind enemy lines for days, armed with silenced weapons, submachine guns, and knives. Trained in demolitions, German language, and survival. Survival rate higher than regular infantry, but missions extremely dangerous. Medics. Combat medics attached to rifle companies provided first aid and casualty evacuation. Many women served as medics and doctors, armed only with pistols or unarmed, wore Red Cross armbands, focused on rapid aid and evacuation to field hospitals. Casualty rates were very high, as medics were frequent targets. Engineers and sappers cleared enemy minefields, laid their own mines, built fortifications and bridges, and demolished obstacles. Sapper units often led assaults, opening routes under fire. Engineer battalions provided specialized support for river crossings and urban combat. By 1945, engineer sapper units were indispensable in every major offensive. Signals troops operated radios, field telephones, and maintained communications lines. Early war relied on vulnerable landlines, improving by 1943 with better radios and units. Laid thousands of kilometers of cable under fire. Radio operators accompanied commanders at all levels and were high-priority targets. Rear services, transport troops, supply companies, maintenance, and administrative personnel sustaining combat operations. Relied on rail networks and truck convoys, many from American Lend-Lease. Partisan activity and poor roads created constant challenges, essential for providing ammunition, food, fuel, and medical supplies. Motor rifle troops, infantry transported in trucks or armored vehicles, keeping pace with tanks. Concept developed in interwar period and expanded after 1942. Rode into battle on tanks or trucks, dismounted for assault, better equipped than regular rifle troops with more automatic weapons and anti-tank capabilities. Mountain infantry, trained for mountain warfare in the Caucasus, Crimea, and Carpathians, equipped with climbing gear, white camouflage, and cold weather clothing. Divisions smaller than regular units, but highly trained. Fought in some of the war's toughest terrain, including Caucasus Passes and Carpathian Mountains. Cavalry, rapidly expanded with 87 new divisions by early 1942, after mechanized forces were destroyed, provided mobile forces when tanks were unavailable. By 1945, divisions had 6,000 men, often in 3 division corps with artillery, tanks, and assault guns. Cavalry remained effective in raids and exploitation operations, lasting into the early 1950s. Field artillery, dominant in Soviet doctrine, the god of war. Density reached 375 guns and mortars per kilometer by 1945. Operated 76 millimeters, 122 millimeters, 152 millimeters howitzers, and heavy 203 millimeters guns. Massed barrages preceded major offensives, pulverizing German defenses. Anti-aircraft troops operated 37, 85, and 100 millimeters guns plus machine guns. Initially struggled against the Luftwaffe, improving by 1943. Women widely served. 85 millimeters guns doubled as effective anti-tank weapons. Protected airfields, industry, and army rear areas. Rocket artillery. Katyusha rocket launcher fired 16 132 millimeters rockets rapidly from trucks, known as Stalin's organ, terrifying German troops. Psychological effect matched destruction. Multiple rocket launcher battalions became separate guards units for effectiveness and propaganda. Anti-tank artillery operated 45, 57, 76, and 100 millimeters guns. 45 millimeters struggled against Tigers and Panthers. 76 millimeters ZIS-3 and 100 millimeters BS-3 remained effective. Anti-tank brigades acted as mobile reserve. Doctrine emphasized massed fire from concealed positions. Artillery reconnaissance. Forward observers directed artillery via radio or telephone, identified targets, calculated coordinates, and adjusted fire. Combined infantry exposure with responsibility for costly equipment. Skilled observers could call devastating fire within minutes. Tankers operated T-34, KV-1, IS-2, and Lend-Lease Shermans in brigades, corps, and armies. After 1941 disasters, tank brigades combined into 3 brigade corps by 1942. Crew 5 men in heavy tanks, 4 in T-34. Training improved after 1942, but casualties remained high. Tank guards received best equipment and experienced crews. Armored infantry, combined arms assault groups specialized in urban warfare, notably in Stalingrad. Typical group: rifle squad, engineers, flamethrowers, 1 to 2 tanks, artillery observer, and NKVD blocking troops. Attacked in waves, clearing buildings and securing rooms. Brutal close quarters combat refined doctrine applied later in Budapest, Königsberg, and Berlin. Navy, Baltic, Black Sea, Northern, and Pacific fleets operated destroyers, cruisers, and smaller vessels. Coastal defense became main mission after German advances. Naval guns supported ground forces. Trapped crews often fought as infantry. Surface fleet played supporting role compared to massive ground campaigns. Submariners conducted convoy interdiction and reconnaissance in Baltic, Black Sea, and Arctic, constrained by German mines and air superiority. Most successful in the Baltic, disrupting German iron ore shipments. Elite crews received better food and living conditions. Casualty rates high. Naval infantry, elite troops trained for amphibious operations and coastal defense, distinguished by black uniforms and striped shirts. Fought in Leningrad, Sevastopol, and Crimea, often held positions long after regular infantry broke. Also used as shock troops in land battles far from water. Pilots, fighter, bomber, and ground attack pilots operated Yak fighters, Il-2 Sturmovix, and PE-2 bombers. Early losses severe due to obsolete aircraft. By 1943, experienced pilots and better planes achieved air superiority. Women served as pilots, including the Night Witches and PO-2 biplanes. Training produced aces matching German equivalents. SMERSH counterintelligence formed in 1943 to root out spies and traitors. Operated independently, reporting to Stalin. Conducted battlefield interrogations. NKVD blocking units shot deserters, making up to 10% of infantry. Combined intelligence with political enforcement to ensure loyalty. Partisans. Guerrilla fighters behind German lines, disrupting logistics, gathering intelligence, and tying down occupation forces. Organized into brigades and detachments coordinated by NKVD and GRU, particularly active in Belarusian forests and Ukrainian steppes. Operations increasingly coordinated with Red Army offensives, 1943 to 45. Paratroopers. VDV airborne forces, originally intended for mass parachute operations. Most fought as elite ground infantry. Guards airborne divisions used as shock troops. Better trained and equipped than regular infantry. Limited airborne operations successfully conducted in the 1945 Manchurian campaign. Chemical troops. Maintained chemical stockpiles and trained for gas warfare. Never used chemical weapons due to mutual deterrence. Operated flame weapons and smoke generators, also responsible for decontamination after potential chemical incidents. Railway troops, critical for logistics over vast distances. Repaired tracks, converted captured railways, and operated military trains. Rebuilt thousands of kilometers of track under fire, enabling Red Army advances. Border guards. NKVD units manned Soviet frontiers, first to face German invasion, June 22, 1941. Posts like Brest Fortress became legendary, most destroyed in opening weeks. Survivors joined regular units. Pre-war border guards were elite, better trained and equipped than regular infantry. Command staff. Officers and NCOs led units at all levels, from platoons to armies, responsible for planning, coordinating, and executing operations under fire. Experienced commanders made decisions that saved lives and enabled breakthroughs. Leadership often determined survival in chaotic battles. Casualties among officers were high, but their presence was critical for unit cohesion and effectiveness. Black Division formed from convicted soldiers sent to fight where losses were expected to be extreme. Used in assault waves, minefield crossings, and diversionary attacks. Survival meant redemption and return to regular units. Death meant silence in the records. Penal units were not celebrated as heroes, but without them, many breakthroughs would have failed.